Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla and see what has happened so far. Pretty, confusing day for the most part, which kind of makes sense since tomorrow, of course, is a pretty major day, CPI day. And as usual, as we always say, CPI day can be pretty massive in terms of dictating where the next move is going to go. So with all that being said, we'll go over all that stuff as per usual. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. And of course, this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just purely for entertainment, but let's just jump right into it. The market's closing in about 5 minutes. Tesla looking like it will be up about a percent and, about 1.2, 1.3% or so on the day, which is going to be putting us at just shy of $187, give or take. So, compared to the market, Tesla, definitely with a pretty okay outperformance today, right? Definitely an outperformance, as we talked about the other day, how, we are expecting Tesla now to potentially have a rally because we had, a pretty okay bullish candle, but yesterday we had a fairly bullish candle as well on the daily. And today we are seeing a bit of that follow through. The follow through is a little bit weak, as you can see, as Tesla did rally all the way up to as high as pretty much 190. And then, of course, getting rejected pretty significantly there as well. As you can see, there is some, decent amount of rejection around this kind of 190-ish level, which is exactly where it ended up finding some major resistance. But the fact that it has arguably broken out of this downtrend, potentially you can argue, is a good sign, right? The worst case scenario, at least for now, for the short term, is that we come to retest this breakout, which will put us back down to about 180, and then from there we go forward. So for instance, CPI day easily can have us gap down, retest 180, and then from there most likely continue. And if this happens and I see 180, I most likely will be selling another cash secured put for the 21st of this month, and most likely just riding that, but I'm not sure yet. I'll see if the time comes, I'll kind of make a decision right then and there. However, with that being said, I do personally still believe Tesla for the very short term is looking more bullish than bearish. Again, mainly because it is arguably has broken out of this downtrend, right? It has these bullish candles, and those are all pretty damn good signs for the most part. Now, unfortunately, today's candle is not a good looking candle for, honestly, bulls and bears. Now, whenever you have candles like this where the open and the close, as you can see, is extremely tight, like pretty much it's opening and closing in more or less the same spots, that right there is usually a sign of either indecision and or reversal, right? It's a reversal indicator. Now, the thing that's confusing to me and that I'm not putting too much weight on it right now is because first and foremost, there's really not much of a reversal here because there's no real direction being chosen here, in my opinion, right? Because you can argue this is a reversal from this rally, but it's not really that much of a rally with all due respect. So you can't really argue this is a reversal from that. So that's kind of, to me at least, thrown out the window. The second thing is indecision. This is the more likely outcome, mainly because tomorrow is, of course, like we talked about, CPI day, right? The market is not entirely sure how to, trade today. It's not really sure what to do today. The volume you can see is a little bit on the lower end as well, right? So, a lot of indecision in that sense, mainly because I'm sure a lot of people are probably just waiting to see the results for tomorrow's CPI data. So that's going to dictate quite a bit. Now, like I said, I am personally, again, very short term, more bullish than bearish. But with that being said, I still wouldn't be surprised if we do get a gap down tomorrow morning after CPI gets released at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, or EDT, I guess, Eastern Daylight Saving Time, or whatever it's called nowadays. And get a gap down, retest this breakdown, or break out rather from this area right here, and then most likely make our way up finally, once again moving up to about 200. But again, I personally do believe that we will at the very least come up to 190, as high as 200, before we continue the move downwards even further. That is my current assessment, and that is currently what I am thinking is going to happen. Now, in order to really get a better idea of this, there's obviously other factors we can look at. For instance, we have a 21 EMA, still getting rejected by that. So until we break above that, Tesla is going to have a little bit of issues. But if we do, then I definitely think 200 is in play. And then I think after that, we will get the rejection again. Again, it could be a little bit lower than 200, could be even as high as 190. But I do think that we will come in this range right here one more time, potentially, right? And then from there, I do think that the rejection will happen, and then we'll go down even further, at the very least coming down to this area of around the mid 160s, if not to my overall main price target, which is around that 150-ish, give or take, right? Which is where I'm really eyeballing, Tesla right now and kind of hoping for it to fall there. Of course, it's taking its sweet time. However, one thing to really pay attention to, guys, is very important, is once again, I am going to delete this bottom line here. One thing to really pay attention to is that we've talked about several times is how much this movement over here, this consolidation movement, rhymes with this movement right here, right? We have this massive rally, we have a massive rally, we have a drawdown, we have a bit of a drawdown, we go back up, we go back up, we have another, some more substantial drawdown, then we have a rally from that, and then we have a rally from that, right? So far, it's playing out almost identical to here, right? This specific thing I'm looking at right here, right? These two things are looking exceptionally identical. And then after this rally over here, right here, right? We had this rally, we have this rally right here as well. Same concept. And then from there, what happened? We had a drawdown. And now from there, what happens? We had a bit of a rally, nowhere near as high, but a bit of a rally. And that's kind of what we're seeing. I just don't think this rally is done just yet. I personally believe that, we have a little bit more room in this rally to go a little bit higher. I think we're somewhere around here. I think we still have at least one or two more green day candles, moving up to, again, that 190 as high as 200. And then you can see what happened after that. And I do believe this move right here will also happen. Not exactly like this exact, move, of course, but something similar to it, right? Something very, very similar to that overall move is what I am personally foreseeing. And, again, it's very easy to look at this because it's so damn similar, right? These two overall consolidation periods right here are just so ridiculously similar. It's just kind of scary almost, right? So just keep that in mind, right? That's something very important to consider. And we've been following that for quite a while. And so far, it's been pretty much following that pattern almost to a T, right? It's quite spooky. Now, moving over, of course, we also have the RSI on the daily, right? You can see it's nothing showing too crazy at the moment. It's just kind of following the chart, right? Nothing too absolutely wild, other than the fact that this drawdown did bring the RSI down quite substantially. So keep that in mind, right? The RSI went pretty much as low, if not lower, than the levels we were at back when we were still trading at 140. So, ultimately it's still looking more bearish than bullish, but of this recent move, it's not really showing anything. It's just following the chart. So at the moment, it's not screaming anything other than what has already been screaming back on this move right here. Moving forward, of course, from that on the 1 hour, you can see the RSI also kind of just following the general idea of this as well. Again, also nothing too, obvious that's kind of screaming at me as of right now. So that's something else to, of course, consider. The 100-day moving average is still well below us, but the 50 is pretty much right above us at 190, which again is a level that I would not be surprised for us to touch one more time. Sometime this week, could be even tomorrow. Maybe that gap down won't even happen. Maybe we just rally up to 190, and then we get rejected at there, right, as high as 200, right? That can absolutely happen as well. But ultimately, regardless of what happens, I do think we will come up to around this level right here, somewhere around this level, regardless if we have this drop down first or straight to it. And then I think ultimately it will come down from there regardless, right? So that's kind of the main thing I am personally looking at. Let's take a look at TSLQ, which is obviously quite literally the opposite of what Tesla is doing. And right now TSLQ is looking, not too bad, but it's also looking, nothing too completely crazy or obvious in terms of a movement just yet. I do argue it's looking a little bit more bullish than bearish, but I wouldn't say it's substantial, which is why I also think that, Tesla doesn't look substantially more bearish, only slightly more bearish, which is why it opens up for a short-term movement, a bit of a rally, which of course will make this one go down. Taking a look at the VIX very quickly, still having a lot of issues, this thing right here, but it is consolidating. So, you can argue this is a little bit of a bear flag forming for the VIX, right, where it's coming down like this. And then of course, from there, it is kind of forming this little tight, tight range over here like this. So we'll see, what this actually ends up coming to fruition and how it plays out. But of course, if the VIX breaks down under pretty much like 18.2-ish, that's going to be fantastic for the market. But if the VIX decides to finally rally above pretty much 20 and actually start holding in the 20s, it's going to be quite bad for the market and quite bad for Tesla as well. So you want to always keep those things in mind as well. You can see SPY is still potentially playing out this inverted head and shoulders. I personally am looking to enter SPY puts pretty soon, but I do want to see how tomorrow plays out with the CPI data. The RSI on the QQQ is still looking pretty bearish. It's having a lot of issues up here. It's having a pretty obvious bearish divergence because as the stock or QQQ went higher, the RSI actually went lower. That's a bearish divergence. Pretty classic stuff on the daily, which of course takes time to play out, but it's also much more powerful when it does play out. So keep that in mind. But that is essentially what I am seeing, guys. So let me know what you think down below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.